Europe's been in a bit of a slow slump for the past decade. A lot of people are saying the economy isn't bouncing back anytime soon. And if you're Taiwanese looking to build a career, you're better off heading to the US or honestly just stay in Taiwan. But what if we take a real, hard look at what these European powers will actually look like 10 years from now? What's the real deal with their economies and industries? Today, let's talk about a totally new way to look at building a future in Europe. Hey guys, I'm Mark. I'm currently doing my MBA over here in Europe, and I'm super into European geography, history, and economic policies. I actually just made a video comparing the economies of European powers with Taiwan. If you are interested, definitely go check that out. But today, I want to dive into the future of these big European players. So no more fluff, let's get right into it. First up, the question I get asked the most: where are these major European powers actually headed? Because if you're planning to move to Europe, you obviously want to aim for a country with a solid economy. Let's start with Germany. For the longest time, Germany was absolute powerhouse of Europe. For the last 30 years, they've been the kings of the auto industry. But here's the catch: they are masters of hardware. Over the last 3 years, their software game has been so weak, and they are getting left behind by China and US in both tech and production efficiency. And honestly, this is an irreversible trend for the next decades. German auto profit margins are only going to shrink. Crisis number 2, their aging population is easily one of the top 3 worst demographic crises in Europe right now. This means a massive shortage of young, skilled talent. They're basically going to have to bring a huge wave of high-tech immigrants just to keep their manufacturing alive. Challenge number 3 is energy. For years, Germany relies on direct, cheap Russian energy to keep costs low. The government thought this weak deal would last forever, but the Russia-Ukraine war completely pulled the plug on that. Overnight, energy got crazy expensive, power bills shot up, and it dragged the whole economy down. None of this can be fixed overnight, and in the super inefficient, bureaucratic system and the level of digitalization that's practically at the bottom of Western Europe, put it all together, and Germany's era as number 1 is wrapping up. Stepping up to take the crown, that will be France. So let's talk about France. Why are they said to be the new number 1? Well, they have 3 massive advantages nobody else has. First, AI computing power and infrastructure. France's AI scene is growing faster than anyone else in Europe. Whether it's their energy edge, the sheer number of elite algorithm talent from their top schools, or just heavy government backing, their AI capabilities are blowing up. They've even birthed AI unicorns like Mistral AI. Second, defense. France is Europe's biggest military supplier. They build their own nuclear subs, fighter jets, and radar system. With global conflicts on the rise, this advantage is going to be huge over the next 10 years. Third, nuclear energy. Setting aside the safety debate for a second, 70% of France's electricity is nuclear. It's super cheap, and unlike Germany, they don't have to worry about someone else cutting off their power supply. This edge can easily make France the strongest country in Europe a decade from now, basically calling the shots in Europe's strategy against the US and China. Now, I know some people will point out France's crazy high debt, but since France is such a massive economy, the EU has tools in place like the TPI that basically guarantee French debt won't default. Plus, a lot of the debt is tied up in core national assets, just like Taiwan. Their power company, EDF, is 100% state-owned, and the government holds major shares in defense and aerospace. So the debt itself isn't going to trigger a national meltdown. A lot of you might be wondering, wait, why isn't the UK the future powerhouse of Europe? First question, at first glance, doesn't the UK have killed tech and finance? But the harsh reality is, ever since they voted for Brexit in 2016, their economy took a nosedive and prices went through the roof. The UK lost its cheap labor pool, tons of EU tax perks, and a massive chunk of financial clients. Basically, looking at the results, Brexit caused permanent, massive damage to their economy. Of course, the UK still has incredible strengths in stuff like quantum computing, synthetic biology, ARM chips, fintech, carbon trading, and crypto. They're still world leaders, but overall, their R&D investment relative to GDP is just too low, the lowest in the G7 actually. Combine that with the Brexit hangover, and the UK has almost zero chance of bouncing back to its old empire on which the sun never sets then. What about the Nordics? Let's look at Sweden, the biggest economy out there. Over the past 5 years, Sweden went all in on green energy, drawing in massive US and European tech giants to build their AI data centers there. Why? Because AI needs an insane amount of power. And it's not just tech, the auto and construction industry need green energy too, which means buying green raw materials from the Nordics. The global trend is clear, all manufacturing has to get greener. Because of this, the Nordics are quietly grabbing the global industry pricing power for the next decade. We could even make a bold guess that they eventually control the world's carbon neutrality and computing lifelines. Now, if you keep up with European news, you'll definitely know one country is rising crazy fast: Poland. Poland is said to be the fastest growing economy and the biggest industrial hub in Europe over the next 10 years. Why? Because Poland is already the go-to manufacturing base for almost everything you can think of: EV batteries, cars, defense, IT, cyber security. They even host Europe's largest defense logistics and assembly bases. To put it bluntly, Poland isn't just Western Europe's cheap labor anymore. Driven by aggressive defense and manufacturing investment, it is rapidly becoming Europe's undeniable sixth largest economic power. Europe is massive, and there are still plenty of countries we didn't get to today. We'll save those for next time. But by now, just looking at the economies, you probably have a better idea of which countries fit your vibe. Keep in mind though, we haven't even touched on local cultures, politics, or social environments yet. If you're seriously thinking about moving to Europe, you've got to look at the whole picture. I'll be making a dedicated video soon to share my thoughts on other European countries. Drop a comment below and let me know which country you want me to cover next, and I'll make sure it's included. If you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe. I'll keep bringing you my first-hand takes on Europe's economy, geography, and history. I'm Mark. See you next time. Ciao, ciao.